Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a gear video for you. There's going to be a lot of knife talk here. For those of you who are knife guys, I think you'll still get a lot out of this, but I want to expand this a little bit and touch on, just about all of the gear that we like to carry, because gear is awesome, guys. And the awesomer the gear, the more it costs. And so because of that, it becomes important for us to think very seriously and very philosophically about how much we spend on our gear. What's the best use of our funds, and how can we make sure that we have the gear that we want and need? Okay, let's be honest. If you get a package in the mail today, you're gonna need this knife in order to open that package. So it's not that we're just spending money on frivolous things. This is really, really important stuff. So we want to think seriously about where we're going to get that money and how we can spend responsibly and continuously, because the biggest problem we can face is, running out of those available funds to buy the next cool thing. All right, so I want to go through some principles here that are going to be guiding principles to help us sort of manage all of those resources so that we can get the best gear, the most gear, the awesomest gear in a timely manner. Now, I do want to make this one important qualification before we begin, and that is this. There are some people out there, we'll call them stupid people, who think that their self-worth is determined by the size of their house, or how nice and expensive the car is that they drive, or how designer their clothes are, or maybe the clothes for, their spouse or significant other. We know that those people are idiots. All right, we got to get that out of the way first off. Really, what determines how awesome you are is the cost of the stuff that you're carrying in your pockets. Okay, that's what really matters. And so in this video, we want to figure out how we can maximize that cost to the highest level possible so that we can be as awesome as possible. Okay, by the way, it's a key thing to remember here that, if something really bad happens, you want quality gear on you. If a bear attacks you while driving down the road, you want to be able to, know with confidence that you can handle that situation, okay? If the terrorists attack, or if ninjas start coming out of the basement, we need to be ready for that kind of stuff, and having the best gear in our pockets, on our person at all times is absolutely the best way to do that. And so, with those kind of qualifications in mind, let's go through some of the criteria that we ought to remember when figuring out how much to spend on our gear. So the first thing that we need to remember is that one is never enough, okay? One is never enough. I may be carrying this great knife, and I absolutely love the Curtis F3, but if it gets dull, what am I gonna do? Right? I can't, in the middle of the day, I can't usually just stop everything and sharpen my knife. So it's absolutely critical to have a backup knife. And this backup knife, if it breaks or the lock fails or something like that, I want to know that I've got another knife to take its place as well. So one is never enough for a couple of reasons. One, we need redundancy in our systems, okay? Number two, how will you know if yours is the best? Okay, the Rat Model 1 is a great knife, but is it the best knife? Well, really the only reliable way to know that is if you've tried all the other knives. And so buying a bunch of knives is absolutely critical. And the same principle applies for tactical pens. Now, this is a tactical pen I don't love. So the only solution to that is to keep buying tactical pens until I find one or two or three or four or five or six that I do love. And then once I know which ones I love, I know which ones to keep buying, because they'll have the features of the ones that I already have that I really, really love. So one is never enough, because you need some redundancy, because you need to know that yours is the best, because you need to have options. It's nice to be able to wake up in the morning and look in the knife drawer and decide, do I want to carry the 0562, or do I want to carry the F3, or do I want to carry the American Lawman, or do I want to carry the Bodega? Right? That's just a critical part of everyone's day, to be able to do that before they've had their first cup of coffee. And you can't have those options if you don't have enough gear to give you, a number of things to consider. And so it's really, really important that you have more than one of pretty much everything in your kit. All right. So that's number one. One is never enough. Number two, cost is absolutely an indicator of quality. All right. So when it comes to figuring out how much to spend on your gear, you just need to know that the one that costs more is definitely better. And if you wonder how you know it's better, well, that's obvious. It's because it costs more. So there's no question that it's better. And since I want to have the best stuff, okay, I need to be able to spend as much as I possibly can, right? Is this light good enough? Well, maybe. It does light stuff up, okay? So this light lights stuff up for whatever, about $20. But this light lights stuff up for like $100. So clearly the light is better. And when you're thinking about how much to spend on your gear, you've got to keep in the back of your mind that you want the one that's better. Who doesn't? All right. Now, you also want to have some budget options in case, I don't know, you're doing something that might break or lose your expensive light or your expensive knife. So you got to pick up those budget offerings as well. And then you put them in a drawer and carry them on days when you're, I don't know, going to work in construction or something like that. All right, so function is directly proportional to cost. Therefore, we need to make sure the cost is as high as possible. That is principle number 2. All right, principle number 3 in determining how much you should spend on your EDC gear is how much credit card balance do you have? Okay, so you need to make sure that you, on a regular basis, go to your online banking and apply to have that limit increased. Now, right after this video is over, you're already at your computer. You can go ahead, maybe even you have the app on your phone. You can, you know what, pause the video. Go to your app for your banking and just send the request for an increased credit card limit right now. And if they deny the request, there's probably in your email inbox an application for another credit card, and that is also a viable option. So take a second, do that right now, and then come back and we'll continue talking about getting good gear and how to figure out how much money should be spent on your stuff. All right. The fourth consideration when figuring out how much to spend on your gear is how much money you need to spend on food. Okay, now I have found out that with like $15, you can buy a lot of craft dinner. And, you know, if you add a few extra dollars here and there, you can even throw in some hot dogs, some buns, stuff like that. And so, you know, for around $25, you should be able to buy the food that you need for the week. And that leaves the rest of your money free to buy gear. Okay, so figuring out how much you really need to eat is absolutely critical. And you know, there's even another option. I've been noticing lately that at the grocery stores where I shop at, they have these giant bags of rice. I mean, like almost a year's supply of rice for 20 or 30 bucks. And so you could buy that and then you're free to just go nuts. Okay? And so how much do you really need to eat is an absolutely key consideration. Now, one point I will make about this is you should never ask your wife's opinion on this, because she's gonna have all these crazy ideas about like steak and pasta and chicken and all kinds of things that are really unnecessary. Okay, so don't ask her about this. You make up your mind on your own, and if you can, try to set up a situation where you can do all the shopping and just explain that that was all they had at the store when you went, so you just bought it. Okay, so consideration number 4 on determining how much to spend on gear is how much money you need for food. And the reality is not very much, okay? Number 5 is kids. Do you or don't you have children? And if you do, you can stop the video right now because your gear budget is blown. If you don't, then do not have any, okay? Kids are the biggest damper on your knife and gear budget that exists out there. And if you have them, you know, they need boots and shoes, and they want to play sports, and they have to wear a backpack and a snowsuit to school like you're going to play out in the snow. And you know, that stuff, it adds up. You would be surprised. And so if you don't have any kids, that's perfect. Just take whatever that now here's what you can actually do. If you don't have kids, go to Walmart, see how much a kid's snowsuit costs, and since you don't have to buy it, you can take that money and buy another knife or a flashlight or a multi-tool or whatever else. So you really just won at life at this point. Number 6. Okay, number 6, you do not need to save, number 6 is how much do you need to save for retirement? Okay, and the answer to that is nothing. Okay, your RRSPs are not going to make you any money anyway. And so if you do have some, that's a great source of financing for whatever new knife, you know, Millet's coming out with next month. And so empty those things out, go and buy some gear. The social system is defunct anyway, so don't pay social insurance or anything like that. There's not going to be any money for you by the time you're old enough to use it anyway. And really, if you've stored up enough ammo, when the collapse comes, you'll be able to trade and barter with that ammo, and you're going to be more well off than all of your neighbors who put all their money into a 401k or something like that. So don't worry about retirement. You can, I guess, if you really, really have to, trade a knife or two to supplement your retirement income when the time comes. Number 7, vacations. Now, vacations can be pretty expensive, but there is a good way that vacations can help you with your gear obsession as well. The first one is camping. If you go camping on all your vacations, then you can always justify a new piece of gear for the next camping trip. So this is great. Number 2, camping is pretty affordable, okay? And number 3, tents, although they're not quite as good as knives, are still kind of gear. And so you'll still get some fun out of buying a new tent every now and again. The other great option for vacations is Blade Show. All right, so Atlanta is, you know, a nice city, cool weather, nice weather. You know, you're not far from the ocean, not that you're going to see the ocean anyway. And if you say to me, well, my wife and kids don't like going to Blade Show, go back and see option number 5. Okay, really, the other option then is they can stay home, you can go to Blade Show, and then it becomes a vacation for everybody. They get a vacation from you, you get a vacation to Blade Show. It's a win-win situation. Now, the other option, I suppose, is SHOT Show, which can work really well, especially if your other family members like to gamble. You know, you can get them going at the casino, and then you can go off and check out all the cool gear at SHOT Show. The one thing to keep in mind is you may need fake IDs so that your 6 and 7-year-old kids can still gamble at the casino. All right. Number 8 in considering how much you can spend on your gear is really more of a philosophical principle, okay? And the principle is this. It's just too perfect for words, but new gear comes out pretty well every week. Okay, and you get paid pretty well every week. I mean, I don't even think I need to say any more about number 8. It could not be better. All right, number 9. Now, here is one that is worth considering. If you're carrying a pocket full of stuff that adds up to, I don't know, $400, and you really feel like that pocket full of stuff should add up to a higher amount. Okay, literally, we only have so many pockets, okay? So, you know, by the time I put this in my pocket and this in my pocket and this in this, it's pretty tough to add that much more. Okay, a small light, yeah, that works. And so I'm pushing my total up by doing that, but there's a limit. Okay, but thankfully someone had the bright idea that we can make like these pry tool doohickeys. And if we make them out of like titanium, or we make them out of zirconium or other metals that are completely useless for prying on things, we can like anodize them all pretty and make them look like animals and stuff, and then we can charge a lot of money. And the great thing about that is, you know, you can buy something small like this that can fit into almost any pocket, and by doing that you can add like a good $200 to your pocket total, thereby increasing your total self-worth. Wonderful, wonderful strategy. And finally, okay, finally is number 10. This is the last one on the list because in Canada, it's not really a thing, and so I'm kind of putting this one in as a shout out to my American friends, and that is guns. Guns are an awesome EDC item. They cost a lot, so they right away up your overall status, and they come with, or they require, I guess I should say, ammo. And ammo is an important consideration here because, you know what, I've never heard anyone say, man, I have too much ammo. Right? Think about all the action movies you've seen. You know all the guns hold 10 times more ammo than they actually do in real life. But even then, you'll hear people say, I ran out of ammo. And if, you know, Steven Seagal can run out of ammo in a gun that already has a magic magazine, what are you going to do with your regular magazine? You need more of it. That's the only solution, right? No one's ever complained about having too much. And so when it comes to spending on gear, you have to consider that no one has ever complained about having too much ammo. They've only ever complained about not having enough. And that ought to be the final guiding principle in how much money you're going to spend on your gear. I'd love to hear your comments down below about how you budget. Those are the strategies that I use. I hope they'll help some of you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.